Elon Musk has accused Twitter of a material breach of contract over their refusal to provide him with data on spam bots on the platform. He is saying that he will end his deal with Twitter if they do not comply. Twitter, of course, is saying, no, we don't have to give the data. We already gave the data we're supposed to give, and you can't back out of the deal. They're arguing that they will enforce the deal as written, and many on the left are breathing a collective sigh of relief. Alex Jones, Donald Trump, they could have returned to the platform under Elon Musk's leadership. But now it's looking like the deal won't go through, and so they're all quite happy. They've been arguing that Elon Musk screwed up because he did not argue for this data beforehand. He waived due diligence. But that's just not true. Elon Musk has a right to this information, and it seems like Twitter is not providing it. In a long statement from the CEO just recently, he stated that in order to calculate spam bots, they need to use private information they can't give out. So, I'm sorry, Elon, we can't tell you exactly how we know these people are or aren't bots. Well, then why should Elon Musk buy the platform? Now, I think all in all, it may be bad news. Many are arguing that Elon Musk is just trying to drive the price down. I mean, yeah, whatever his intention is, that seems to be the case. It seems to be. I don't know for sure. I mean, he could just buy the platform. But it seems like whether it's a legitimate claim about spam bots or he's just trying to make the price lower, the end result will be, give me a better deal. If Twitter wants the deal to go through and it seems like they're going to have to, Elon Musk will likely get a premium offer and the number will go down. We'll see. Of course, there is that provision in the contract that says if any party breaks the deal, they owe $1 billion. But let me tell you why this matters, why Twitter matters, why Elon Musk matters. There's a statement from Ben Sasse. He's talking about the weirdos that are driving the political conversation and manipulating everybody. And he's like, you know how many people watch Fox News, Tucker Carlson, or MSNBC? Less than 2% of this country is watching cable TV on a given night. Okay. Well, Ben's wrong. He's right that there are hyper-partisan weirdos driving the conversation, but he doesn't understand that it's not Fox News. I mean, sure, older people are on, cable. I should say they are watching cable. But the political conversation among millennials and younger, it's Twitter. I've interviewed several young people. Shout out to Brett Cooper of the Daily Wire. She told us that she wasn't really on Twitter until working at the Daily Wire. That's right. As young people begin to enter the political fray, they adopt Twitter. We've talked with several other young people, Gen Z, who weren't active on Twitter until they got involved in politics. It seems that if there's one thing Twitter does have, it is the political space, news media and politics. That's why this matters. Elon Musk taking this platform would be a tremendous victory for free speech, personal responsibility, and meritocracy. So it's no surprise that the people who claimed there is no censorship are now saying censorship is a good thing and Elon Musk shouldn't take it away. They're now actively defending it. So to Ben Sasse's point, it's not that there's a small handful of weirdos screaming at the top of their lungs on cable TV. It's that weird things are happening, that culture is shifting. And if we don't retain the ability of free speech and stand up for things like this and actually engage in the culture war, things will get bad. The idea around what Ben Sasse is saying is kind of like regular people don't care about this stuff. And that's partly true. For the longest time, people said Twitter is not real life. And then lo and behold, within 10 years, it became real life. Libs of TikTok is publishing videos that result in a change of policy around the country to the point where the Washington Post is writing about it and saying, this is bad for us. Twitter is influential. And that's why Elon Musk wants to buy it, if he really does want to buy. But let's talk about what's going on with Elon Musk. Let's talk about what's going on with the actual spam bots, because a study shows as much as 12% of the platform may be fake. And why does that matter? Perhaps the opinions you are seeing on social media are fake. Now, you could just be arguing with a bunch of 12-year-olds who don't actually know what they're talking about, but it could be. Special interests are creating bots to argue ideas so that you think it's popular and then you embrace those ideas. And yes, that actually is happening. Is it dictating mainstream news cycles and speech? I don't know for sure to what impact it's having, but it does have one. Let's read this first story from the Wall Street Journal about Elon Musk threatening to end the deal with Twitter. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com and become a member to help support our work. As a member, you'll get access to exclusive segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and you'll be supporting our journalists. We recently hired Adrian Norman, who's excellent. He was on Timcast IRL just a couple weeks ago. And we also have this on-the-ground report from Elad Eliyahu. So we are doing that work to get you fact-based news, to fact-check the media, call out their lies. If you like the work we do, go to timcast.com, click sign up, become a member. And also don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel right now, and share this video on every single platform, anywhere you can. If everybody who watched this video, several 100,000 people, shared it, then we would be the biggest news source like that. Let's read the first story from the Wall Street Journal. Elon Musk threatens to end deal with Twitter. Tesla CEO accuses Twitter of not complying with his request for data on spam and fake accounts on social media platform. They say, Mr. Musk said Twitter has refused to provide the data necessary for Mr. Musk to facilitate his own evaluation of the number of spam and fake accounts. In April, Twitter accepted Mr. Musk's $44 billion bid to take over the company and go private. As part of the deal, Musk waived detailed due diligence that buyers typically perform on targets. In a letter to Twitter Chief Legal Officer Vijaya Gadde, Mr. Musk's lawyer, Mike Ringler, said Mr. Musk is entitled to the requested data in part so that he can facilitate the financing of the deal. Mr. Musk has lined up a group of 19 investors to back his deal. He has also said in filings that he is holding talks with other current Twitter shareholders, including co-founder Jack Dorsey, to roll their shares over into the private company. Quote, in any event, Mr. Musk is not required to explain his rationale for requesting the data, nor submit to the new conditions the company has attempted to impose on his contractual right to the requested data, Mr. Ringler wrote. At this point, Mr. Musk believes Twitter is transparently refusing to comply with his obligations under the merger agreement. This is a clear material breach of Twitter's obligations under the merger agreement, and Mr. Musk reserves all rights resulting therefrom, including his right not to consummate the transaction and his right to terminate the merger agreement. The Twitter spokesperson said the company will continue to cooperatively share information with Mr. Musk to consummate the transaction in accordance with the terms of the merger agreement. He added, we intend to close the transaction and enforce the merger agreement at the agreed price and terms. This is particularly interesting. Could it be that Elon Musk can't get the financing unless he has the data? I mean, that's what's being reported by the Wall Street Journal. They're saying in part, so that he can facilitate the financing of the deal. Twitter may be spiking this on purpose, knowing Elon Musk will not be able to secure the loans he needs to buy this if they withhold that information. And then what? A lot of people are arguing Elon Musk is the one attempting to back out. But that might not be the case. It may be, but it might not be. It may be that Twitter, who doesn't want to sell, Vijaya Gadde, who cried when she found out he won this bid, they may have found a way to prevent Elon Musk from buying the platform. We don't know. You never know what someone's intent is or why it's really going on. They go on to say, shares of Twitter fell close to 2%, around $39 in midday trading. The all-cash deal is priced at $54.20. Now, full disclosure, I have, I think, like 21 or 22 shares. Not that I'm all that concerned about this. I would like to make money on that deal, but it's not like I'm a major shareholder. Mr. Musk's latest letter is the clearest statement that he may abandon the deal, potentially spurring what could be a protracted legal battle between the two sides. As part of the deal, both sides agreed to pay each other a $1 billion breakup fee if they cause the deal not to happen for certain reasons. But specific scenarios must unfold for those to become relevant. Twitter could also sue to force Mr. Musk to go through with the transaction. There are only specific scenarios under which Mr. Musk would be able to simply pay the termination fee to walk away from the transaction, including if regulators try to block the deal or the debt financing falls through. And there it is. Let me say that again. There are only specific scenarios under which Musk would be able to simply pay the termination fee to walk away, and that includes debt financing falling through. Could it be that the people who have pledged their money to Musk said, we want to know how many bots are on the platform because we could make this deal and then lose 30% of our money overnight. So Elon said, how do you calculate this? In fact, Elon did his own analysis. It seems he found that spam bots are way worse. Twitter's got to release this data to him. Now, they're claiming they've released all the data they're supposed to release. Something doesn't seem to add up. Who do you trust? Twitter said last week that the window has closed for federal antitrust regulators to block the deal. And Mr. Musk has said he has financing lined up. For years, Twitter has publicly disclosed its own estimate of how many of its daily active users represent false or spam accounts, putting the percentage at fewer than 5%. Mr. Musk has pegged the feature at least 4 times as high. Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal on May 16th tweeted the company had shared information with Mr. Musk about how it estimates spam figures. Mr. Musk responded with a poop emoji. Oh, geez. Well, I'll take what I can get. Elon Musk is not, he's not Superman or anything like that, but him buying the platform would certainly be better than what's going on now. They go to mention basics about the deal. Mr. Musk offering to buy the deal for $44 billion. This we understand. On Saturday, Mr. Musk brought attention to a tweet suggesting spam and bots were being used for misinformation and fake news against Elon. Mr. Musk's one-word reply to the tweet, interesting, got more than 20,000 likes. And there it is. Why does Elon Musk want to buy the platform? Well, initially, it probably had a lot to do with Babylon Bee. They posted a joke. Elon Musk likes the Babylon Bee. And then Babylon Bee got in trouble. They got suspended. Elon called them and said, maybe I'll have to buy the platform. But could it be that people often post fake tweets from fake Elon accounts trying to rip people off? And Elon Musk is sick of his name being dragged in this way. Perhaps. That may be why Elon Musk is so intent on figuring out the spam bot circumstance. In this tweet from David Gura, he says, Twitter has released a statement, quote, Twitter has and will continue to cooperatively share information with Mr. Musk to consummate the transaction in accordance with the terms of the merger agreement. We believe this agreement is in the best interest of all shareholders. We intend to close the transaction and enforce the merger agreement at the agreed price and terms. Something does not make sense. First, let's break down that first sentence. Twitter has and will continue to cooperatively share information with Mr. Musk to consummate the transaction in accordance with the terms of the merger agreement. Let's break down some legalese. Cooperatively sharing information, what they did not say is Twitter has complied, delivering all information requested by Musk. No. They used weasel words to say they've cooperatively shared information, but they did not say they gave him what he wanted. And in accordance with the terms of the merger agreement. Sounds like they're asserting that so that in the event of a lawsuit, they can say, as far as the agreement goes, we followed through. Here's the initial the initial letter from Musk's lawyer. It says, Mr. Musk says, while we are in receipt of correspondence sent on Twitter's behalf dated June 1st, Mr. Musk does not agree with the characterizations in Twitter's June 1st letter. Twitter has, in fact, refused to provide the information that Musk has repeatedly requested since May 9th to facilitate his evaluation of the spam and fake accounts on the company's platform. Twitter's latest offer to simply provide additional details regarding the company's own testing methodologies, whether through written materials or verbal explanations, is tantamount to refusing Mr. Musk's data requests. Twitter's efforts to characterize it otherwise is merely an attempt to obfuscate and confuse the issue. Mr. Musk has made it clear that he does not believe the company's lax testing methodologies are adequate, so he must conduct his own analysis. The data he has requested is necessary to do so. I completely agree with this. And they go to mention basically what we already know. If Twitter is confident in its publicized spam estimates, Mr. Musk does not understand the company's reluctance to allow Musk to independently evaluate those estimates. As noted in our previous correspondence, Musk will, of course, comply with the restrictions provided under Section 6.4, including by ensuring that anyone reviewing the data is bound by a non-disclosure agreement, and Mr. Musk will not retain or otherwise use any competitively sensitive information if the transaction is not consummated. Then why deny it? I can show you outright. The response from Twitter appears to be outright weasel words. Cooperatively share information. What they did not say is we have complied with Elon's request for all data requested. They haven't done that. Twitter knows something. Musk accuses Twitter of resisting and thwarting his right to information on fake accounts. I'd like to show you this tweet from Meet Kevin. Meet Kevin is a data analyst and financial analyst. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers. He is verified on Twitter, and he says, Some say Elon Musk has to buy Twitter as is with bots because he, quote, waived his right to due diligence. Wrong. Section 10b-5. Twitter can be liable for omissions of or misleading material facts. Waiving due diligence does not mean you have to accept a fraudulent disclosure under stated bots. And it would appear there is evidence to suggest that Elon Musk is correct. In a story from Timcast.com, just about a week ago, Brett McDonald writes, study, Musk's suspicions of Twitter bot traffic confirmed. More than 12% of Twitter's 299 million active users may actually be fake. Now, of course, this is my own website, but I'll push back a little bit, Brett. Calling it confirmed, but then saying may actually be, well, it makes me sigh, but it is accurate. Suspicions of Twitter are confirmed. Yes, Musk's suspicions that there may be more bots is confirmed. Maybe. Okay. But I have no problem calling that out, even if it's my own website. That being said, this is a legitimate study, and it does confirm suspicions that the information from Twitter is not accurate. Why? Because there is a new study showing that Twitter's numbers are wrong. At the very least, we can agree on that. Check. An Israeli cybersecurity firm and the Israeli Cyber Forum released a report cataloging the malicious effect that invalid traffic has on the online business ecosystem. In a press release following up on that report, they specifically highlighted how Twitter's user growth has been inflated by the presence of bots. Check found that 11.71% of all outbound traffic from Twitter, that's Twitter users clicking on links that lead to other websites, were driven by bots or fake users. The conclusion was drawn after analyzing 5.21 million of these outbound clicks, with over 2,000 tests to determine the authenticity of each click, according to the report. Earlier this month, Elon Musk tweeted that he'd be putting his acquisition of Twitter on hold. This we understand. But Guy Titunovich, the CEO of Check, reasons that this indicates that 11.71 is probably a conservative estimate. In fact, a significantly greater percentage of Twitter's user base may be the product of manipulative or malicious use. Quote, our study looked into users who came from Twitter to other websites. But if you consider that many bots don't click through to other sites and only stay on Twitter, then it seems very likely that bot traffic inside the platform itself could be significantly higher than 12%. Ultimately, we are living in the era of the fake web, where bots, malicious users, and automation tools make up a large portion of all web traffic. And this data supports what we're seeing out there. Invalid traffic, according to the report, accounts for 40% of all web traffic, and its prevalence distorts the cost and value of paid marketing campaigns, segment targeting, and customer acquisition. For a website like Twitter, which offers a free service to users in order to sell their user base to businesses running marketing campaigns, reliable analytics means everything to a prospective marketer's bottom line. If marketers find that their campaigns are doing poorly on a marketing channel like Twitter, they're likely to limit their campaigns, in turn limiting the revenue generated by Twitter. Check explains that these bots and malicious users of the internet result in nearly $700 billion in wasted expenses each year. Invalid traffic does not, however, just concern bots. Although bots do account for a large percentage, it also includes malicious traffic from click farms, hackers, and fake accounts. They go to mention Check as a software as a service company founded in 2016, yada, yada, yada. All right, let's talk about why this matters. I want to bring you to this article about Ben Sasse. I mentioned this in the intro. Senator Ben Sasse calls out weirdos dividing country in fiery Reagan Foundation speech. He grazes the surface of what really matters. He's right in some ways, wrong in many others. Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska lit into the weirdos that he said are tearing the United States apart. In a fiery speech at the Reagan Foundation that connected the hyperbolic political debate to the past few years with global threats facing the nation, the Nebraska Republican ripped into performance artists on the far left and far right who have dominated politics for close to a decade, saying they're more focused on getting likes and retweets for themselves on social media than on preserving the U.S. standing as a global superpower amid new threats from adversaries like China. Quote, this is a government of the weirdos, by the weirdos, for the weirdos, Sasse said on Thursday night in California. Politicians who spend their days shouting in Congress so they can spend their nights shouting on cable are peddling crack, mostly to the already addicted, but also with glittery hopes of finding a new angry octogenarian out there. It was a bold statement from Senator Sasse, who was wrong. I mean, he's right that cable TV mostly is watched by people who are in their late 60s. That's true of all of the platforms. But there still is a large millennial demographic watching. 18 to 54 does watch, but in much smaller numbers. I mean, Tucker Carlson gets, I think, around 400 to 500,000 views in the key demo, but he's getting like 3.5 across the board. That shows a lot of old people. What Ben Sasse does not realize is that this is mainstream politics. When we are talking about Joe Biden and gas prices, we're not addressing fringe partisan issues that people don't care about. When we talk about child drag shows, it is not just one gay bar in this country. It is happening at schools. It is happening all over the country. And it just so happens that the corporate press has been ignoring it or defending it. You take a look at Bill Maher, who is shocked when he finds out this stuff is actually happening 2 years too late. So Ben Sasse, it's fascinating that he lives outside of the political conversation. Now I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to rally the middle and be like, all those people are weird. You can count on me. Unfortunately, there's no middle anymore. It just doesn't exist. I mean, if it is, it's here. The left likes to say, you're far right. Here's what he said, quote, "The last 75 years, with the U.S. as the globe's unrivaled superpower, we have seen shocking peace and shocking prosperity by every historical measure," Sasse said. It's just, it's so cringe-inducing. I mean, technically not wrong, but dude, we've been at war nonstop, blowing up kids and all that. In 75 years, we've had a ton of war. Every generation has a choice: to get off the couch and build, or to resign as the rich kid who lets the family business fall apart. Because make no mistake, the loss of confidence we're experiencing has disastrous real-world effects. Sasse spoke at the Reagan Foundation's A Time for Choosing speaker series, which has featured a wide array of Republicans eyeing runs for the White House in 2024. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. We get it. They're going to say Thursday's speech was a definitional statement for Sasse, pulling together his previous arguments about the direction of the country and the GOP into a clear thesis about what should come next. Sasse wrote the speech over several days, working off ideas written on note cards that he shuffled and arranged, blah, 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 blah. Political algorithms run on rage. Nobody goes viral for being honest. That 280 characters probably won't allow the space to have an honest debate. It's dumb to talk about a particular piece of federal legislation as either the arrival of heaven on earth or the harbinger of hell by Tuesday. Well, let me slow down there. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about Twitter and why the issue of Elon Musk is so important. He's right. Nobody goes viral for saying Twitter is not a good place. I've done it. And all that happens is I go viral for people ragging on me saying I refuse to engage. There have been people who have said, Tim, X, Y, and Z. And I respond with, why don't you come on the show? Because Twitter is not the place to be having these conversations. We can't get our ideas out. And then people respond with, oh, you got smackdown. Oh, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why I don't do Twitter debates. It's exactly why we don't do Skype on Timcast IRL. And it's exactly why majority of these prominent left-wing personalities won't even come on the show. I tell you this. I tried having a conversation with a prominent left-wing individual, and when we talk about morals and ethics like deontology or utilitarianism, they say, I don't know what that means. And I say, how can we discuss the way to solve these problems if you don't understand concepts around right and wrong, morality, politics, justice, ethics, etc.? I am trying to find a way to bring balance to the force so that we can compromise and live together to the best of our abilities. But if you don't understand how any of these ideas, what these ideas are, how they work, then how can it happen? And the problem is Twitter is the lowest common denominator. It's grunting for all I care. That's why I don't take the platform seriously. In fact, before recording this, I posted a series of AI-generated images of various political figures, including Nancy Pelosi. That's it. I'm like, look at this funny picture of Nancy Pelosi. Why? Because there's nothing else to use the platform for. Now, I connect with people. I sometimes have meaningful conversations, or they start there, and we've booked guests based on the conversations we've had. But the platform is trash. That's a fair point, Senator Sasse. I agree. He says there's some evidence, Yahoo News goes on to say, there's some evidence that Sasse's approach may resonate. Most polling has found that voters across the board are more concerned about inflation, gas prices, and pocketbook issues than about Trump's 2020 election lie and culture war battles. Full stop. What do you think the culture war battles actually are for those who are not on the left? This is why it is important. I tweet about inflation and gas prices and make videos about food and fuel shortages. That is the culture war. When we talk about Joe Biden getting elected because Donald Trump posted mean tweets, that is the culture war. When we talk about drag kids story hour and or drag, these things, that's all culture war. Now, those issues matter much less to people. I agree. And so when they come out and they talk about all of these issues, and we on Twitter use the platform to say gas prices, inflation, and jobs, but those people get banned, this matters, doesn't it? Twitter is the place where the news cycle is starting. That's why it matters that Elon Musk takes it back and brings back these voices and ensures you won't get banned. But what's the point of using the platform if you're going to get banned for saying these things? There are people who are talking about policies put forth by Joe Biden, specifically around culture war issues, and they get banned. Now, I do think it is fair to say it's the economy, stupid. But what do you think gets Joe Biden elected? It wasn't his sound policy. The dude didn't campaign. He kept calling a lid on pressers and then going into his basement. The issue was culture war. Now, because people didn't like the orange man, because people did nothing but watch CNN and believe the lies, they voted for Joe Biden. Oh, I've talked to friends who are like, I wish I didn't do it. I'm like, yeah, I know. Wake up, pay attention. This is where we are heading. Old people are going to phase out of the political space soon. And they vote in large numbers, and they watch Fox News and MSNBC and CNN. For the most part, they're watching Fox News. But just because Fox News gets the most doesn't mean most people are watching Fox News. CNN, CBS, ABC, NBC, all of them together rival or beat Fox News. And they're the ones who are pushing the nonsense. They go to mention Republican operatives remain deeply skeptical that anyone can dislodge Trump's hold in the party. He is still the most popular candidate in a hypothetical 2024 matchup. Meanwhile, benchmark issues of his time in office, specifically immigration and its white supremacist offshoot, the Great Replacement theory, hilarious, continue to resonate with Republican voters. Ben Sasse is aiming for the middle, and I think it's exactly why Republicans lose. Democrats aren't. Look, it's the establishment uniparty. They're not really pandering to anybody. They're doing the bare minimum. They will take a wedge issue, gun control, abortion, whatever, and they'll weaponize it against their opponents. All the while, society is drifting towards more absurdity, like drag kids stories and dance-offs and things like that. We've seen all that stuff, and it's starting to infuriate parents. Ben Sasse, you're wrong. In Loudoun County, parents were outraged when they discovered the cultural values being taught to their children. And they stood up and they protested, and it resulted in a Republican winning. You need to pay attention to this. These parents are in their 40s. Yeah, they're not the people watching Tucker Carlson. It's not just the economy. It is a lot of issues. A lot of issues around the values of this country, freedom, liberty, justice, personal responsibility, all of these things. You have a multicultural democracy fighting with a constitutional republic. And the multicultural democracy types, the woke types, know they need to get your kids. So I'll tell you what's more important. Twitter may actually be the red herring. You know why? TikTok. The kids are going on TikTok. They're posting their dance videos. They're using it more and more, and we are banned from TikTok. You see how it works. Timcast IRL got banned from TikTok, and we did not break any rules. What do we say? Nothing. They just banned us. And that's interesting because TikTok doesn't usually ban people for breaking the rules. They suspend you, and then, they don't have the same system like 3 strikes. It may have been that we hosted Alex Jones. Okay. They told that we had no warning that we weren't allowed to, but we got banned from TikTok. The younger kids are going to be on TikTok. We're going to be on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. The older people are going to be on these platforms. We're going to fight over these platforms. We're going to win and go, yeah. And then we're going to have the Fox News of social media. And then in 10 years, when TikTok is YouTube and way bigger than everybody else, and you're banned from there, then these kids are going to be influenced with no pushback. That's where we are heading. I hope you're paying attention to it. And that may be the big issue here. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend Elon Musk is the greatest savior. I mean, him buying Twitter would be great. Might not even happen. It's better than losing Twitter. But what about TikTok? What about the fact that it's effectively Chinese propaganda? You know, in China, their youth aren't allowed to watch this woke social justice stuff. It's banned. Here, the counterance to it is banned. So you can go on the platform and say all the nonsense in the world. And if you speak out against it, you're gone. For the time being, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's YouTube, there's Rumble. But are you inspiring young people? That's the big question. Turning Point USA does a lot to reach high school and college students. But let me just say, shout out to Turning Point USA for being very, very uncool. I got no problem saying that. They do good work, but boy, are they not cool. Watching a bunch of stodgy dudes in suits, that's just, I don't know, that's just not cool. You know, I like freedom. I like the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus guys. Can we get some more like edgy punk rock, challenge the establishment kind of anti-establishment rhetoric? Can we inspire young people to be independent while also being creative, artistic, and cool? Now, I suppose what is cool is shifting, to be completely honest. With the culture war, you end up with a left that is horribly uncool. And you'll end up with a right that is also horribly uncool. Yeah, here's my bet. I think the right is more in line with facts today, and that's what matters. I don't agree with all of their political policy positions. I don't like the left because they're stodgy, authoritarian, uncool, and wrong. I'll tell you what I think works. Punk rock, libertarian, teenage angst, believing in yourself and knowing what's right. That's why it's fascinating to me that right now the narrative is like, teacher is right. And the people telling you teacher are wrong, they're bad people. If you're a young person and you're writing like Black Lives Matter on stuff, which is like the corporate slogan of Walmart and Amazon, that's just the weirdest, lamest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, go corporations, conformity, not being yourself, not being unique, not pursuing your dreams. Okay, I guess. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm an old man. I'm 36. That means I'm now entering my late 30s. I guess technically it's mid-30s still until what? Until you're halfway through 37? Whatever, man. I'm not going to sit here and tell kids what is cool or what isn't because every generation has their different idea of cool. When I was young, cool was skateboarding, punk rock, and saying F you to the machine, protesting war and saying screw the government. Perhaps what's cool now is conformity. Oh, yeah. All right. I mean, maybe. Well, we better start inspiring young people to build their own worlds and not just conform to the old, because that's what is supposed to happen. I'll leave it there. It's got to start on social media. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.